Oh, damn, Cindy, you so fine. You so fine, you blow my mind. Actually, you're friends with me because I'm mentally depressed, and now you're filming me. That's what you're playing all along. Let me befriend her so I can film her and make money. Now I look like an actual mentally depressed person. Like the stereotype, this is what everybody's gonna want in your video. Nobody's gonna want my like hot sexy ass in your video. I gotta look weird because I'm like, I have depression. All people with depression obviously look weird, right? Duh.
What is your diagnosis?
I'm clinically depressed. I just like trigger myself to like laugh at it every time. Like, everybody's like, "Why? You're so smiley? You're so happy all the time? Like, you're lying? You're being over dramatic?" And it's just like weird. Because I'm like, involved in theater, so it's either I'm over dramatic or that I'm a liar. Is that no in between?
What are people's reactions when they first find out?
You get those like couple of bitches that are like, "Yeah, I know, me too," and you're like, "What?" And they're like, "I had a bad day today too." The people that matter always support. People that don't make it worse. I was born mentally ill. It wasn't something that developed over time. I can't understand happiness. I can't understand love and the idea of feeling love. And how could they understand the level of pain I just feel when we're sitting in the same room doing the same things? People just really can't understand that, yes, I'm different. Yes, all these things, but I'm not an alien. And they can't feel what I feel. So for a lot of people, even for my mom, for like the longest time, it was easier to believe that it was better than it was. I have some friends I turn to, and those always tend to be the ones that are clinically depressed or have some sort of mental illness. They're just as fucked up as I am. The worst part is like when you go and you talk to like a social worker or something, and they're like, "Oh, I understand." I want to ask them questions about their life because I feel like, well, do you understand? Have you been in the position that I'm being placed in? Or have you not? And for me personally, that support is not support. I rather have someone be like, "Oh, I can't imagine what you're going through," than "I understand." Because those words hurt when you don't mean them, when they're empty promises. I remember when they found out, I had texted my mom and I was just freaking out. I had been on a slippery slope downhill, but so I get like really bad panic attacks, but then like my panic attacks also come with like a loaf of depression. Not a loaf, not like a bread loaf. They just come with like a storm of depression, and so it's like very overwhelming. And part of me was always like, I want to die, but oh my god, what if I die? It's like very contrasting. So I was texting my mom because I was having a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. Everything feels heavy. I was sweating. Like I was like crying in the middle of school, which, you know, I would like to say I don't do, but I probably do like 3 times a day. So I remember I texted my mom and I was like, "Mom, I'm freaking out. I'm having like such a shit day." And, you know, for me, I mean, I was first suicidal when I was 7. Like, you know, I can feel like a worthless piece of shit, but like, at least I didn't think I would do anything. I couldn't make a promise. Like, when your therapist is like, "Promise you're not going to do anything." And I'm like, well, I would like to. I don't think I'm going to do anything. I can almost guarantee it, but I can't promise it. My mom, she called the school. Called the nurse. I I was in the middle of gym class. This nurse comes out in the middle of the field. She, like, calls me in. They put me in a room, and they say that they're nervous about me, and that my mom called in, and I start freaking out and crying. It's very upfront, in your face type of thing, and it also wasn't my choice. Then they put me in a room, which I remember just, like, that's where I really lost my shit, because I was slowly collecting myself throughout the day. I was taking breathers. But then they put me in a room alone to dwell on my own thoughts while I was just, like, confronted, taken out, like, in front of my friends that did not know anything about my situation. And then they bring my guidance counselor in. I have to talk to her, but she was in a meeting, so I also had to wait an hour alone in this room just sobbing my eyes out to meet with her. Then I had to meet with my social worker, all in this one room. Like, I was not allowed out of that room. I got a phone call with my mom in which I was just pissed off. I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I was being confronted. And then I had to talk with the nurses again. It was a big, rapid cycle. And then eventually, it comes down to the question, like, are you suicidal? That's all they care about. I don't see the point in lying. But that got me suspended from school until I could get a note signed from my therapist saying that I was okay, because apparently I was, like, a liability, which was just, like, the weirdest feeling, being suspended for not doing anything wrong. And it took me, like, 2 days out of school. I missed one of my dress rehearsals where, like, in the show I was, like, a lead in. It was my first, like, lead role. I couldn't go. They almost sent me to a mental hospital. And I almost had to miss my show entirely. I've had a 504 developed, so I can go to the nurse. I don't like going to the nurse necessarily, because half the time I have to go back to class if they think it is important enough of a class that I shouldn't be missing, despite the fact that I have a legal document saying I'm allowed to go to the class and miss it. Like, I appreciate now having teachers that support me, I guess, like, because you find those gems of teachers that are just actually really supportive. But the school, I haven't been sleeping at all. I either get 2 hours of sleep or I get 10 hours of sleep, and it feels like I got 0. So all this is going on, and finally I just had, like, I just needed to sleep. I was falling asleep in my class. I was about to break down, and, you know, I want to save people that trouble, and I want to save myself that trouble. They let me sleep during Italian because I got teacher's note, and then I'm in a deep sleep, and it's, like, honestly so good because I haven't slept in ages. But then they wake me up and send me to gym. They're like, your time's up. What class do you have? And I'm like, gym. What teacher do you have? And I tell them my teacher. They're like, yeah, good luck with that. Meanwhile, as I'm getting kicked out of the nurse's office, a girl in my gym class just comes in and asks for a note to get out of gym. And she got a note to get out of gym when I couldn't, like, do what I am legally allowed to technically do. They can try to deal it for like a little bit, but then it's always, there's, like, a timer. It never lasts. They're like, you're either going to go to your therapist immediately if you can't handle it, or you're going to go back to class. The only thing I can think about is because of the GPA. I mean, because why do you care if I'm in chemistry every day? I don't want to be a chemist. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. And I've had times where I go from the 3rd floor where my class was, and go all the way to the first floor to the nurse's office, and they're like, what class do you have right now? And I'm like, say my class. And they're like, nope, go back up. I have to go all the way back up. And meanwhile, if it's chorus, they'll let me miss it. I love chorus. If there's a class that gives me anxiety, yeah, that's probably going to be triggering for me, and I can't help it. I can't be like, whoa, like, let me get out of chemistry. It's like, no, I'm having panic attacks, and it's not because I dislike the class. It's not because I'm necessarily bad at it. I was pretty bad at chemistry, but that's beside the point. It's just because, like, that is, like, always, it can be the cherry on top. Just, like, not what I need. But those classes are the ones they make me go back to. It's funny because I'll have a breakdown in the middle of the day, and it's almost like I have to schedule it. Like, I'll be having a panic attack, I'll be crying in one of my classes, and I'm like, hold on for 30 minutes because you're not going to be able to take a break. And then you can, like, miss your free. I hate it here. Bottom line, like, if you see me in Westport after high school, or, like, very, like, reminiscent situations, like, I don't want to come back here. I hate it here. And that was one of the problems I had to face because everybody's, like, supposed to tell me, love it here. You gotta love it here. And children in Africa, and, I was like, well, shit, That's right. Like, even a few towns over, they have it so much worse than us because we're, like, little porcelain dolls and, like, this, like, bubbled up society. But they could technically have worse situations, but the pain we feel could be the same. I learned this last year in one of my independent studies. I learned about imaginary friends and how they help kids develop. And it helps kids communicate how they're feeling. And it says when a child cries, we always shut them out and we're like, stop crying. It's annoying, but it's really their feelings. They have no other way to communicate. A problem to a child that they haven't experienced yet, they're not going to be, oh, the love of my life just broke up with me. A 3-year-old isn't going to go through that, but losing their ball, that is emotionally traumatizing. To me, this is my losing the ball. This is also my, like, starving moment. Yeah, it's good to be grateful, but that's if you actually are grateful. I personally don't believe we should trick ourselves into feelings that we don't feel. I'm not necessarily super grateful for where I live. I'm grateful for the food I have, for the house I have. I'm grateful for the luxuries I am experienced to. I'm not grateful for the community. I'm not grateful for the town. I'm not grateful for the school system. And that sounds so shitty because I know how technically good our school system is, but I don't like the way everybody freaks out about it. The amount of texts I've gotten this week just about people freaking out about their grades and saying that their lives are over when I just don't care. Like, I have other fish to fry. Like, I really can't hear these types of problems right now because I have little problems too. Like, but the amount of rants I get that are on school and grades daily is absurd. I've had conversations with my friends about how many AP classes they need to take, how many, like, what their GPA needs to be in order to what they make it sound like survive in this world. There's so many situations where they, like, won't take the class because the class that they really want to take because they're fitting an extra AP in, or they're doing something and then, or they're freaking out about something and I'm like, what do you want to major in? And they're like, acting. If you want to be an actor, you don't need to take AP Chem. You act. The school has deceived everyone into thinking that they do need to take AP Chem. This community, there's so many college advisors, and the amount of people that I've heard say, like, if you don't take physics, not a required course. If you don't take physics, you're not going to get into a good college. Like, the fact that I have to, like, cram all these, like, random things in so I can have, like, a 4.0 GPA, like, and I can be shunned when I have, like, so many other things going on in my life that I don't want to worry about these types of things. Like, no, I'm not grateful for this community. I'm not grateful for the monsters that we have created. Because we either have people with very, very bad psychological problems, and then we have these, like, preppy assholes that just only care about their grades. And then they see the kids with the problems, and they're like, what's their deal? Because they don't care as much. And that's just so messed up. Like, yeah, we have a good budget. I don't think the budget is distributed in the way it should be. And I think our priorities are whack. So I'm grateful for the things I have, but I'm not grateful for the community itself at the end of the day. I'm glad I live here and not some country at war. But then at the same time, I can't wait to get out of here.